We use the business model for our parent containers. According to the project requirements, we can only use 4 letters for the department names, and they had to be easily identifiable. And we set up accounting as ACCT, computers as CS, distribution as DIST, human resources is HR, research and development is R&D, and sales is SALE or marketing. The naming convention that we used for the computers is a little more descriptive. L or D to describe whether it's a laptop or a desktop, followed by the department and the actual number of the computer, and then the domain that it belongs in. As you see here, a couple examples at the bottom. A couple of things here, probably stating like DC, it actually means domain content as opposed to like domain controller, which I have a really bad habit of thinking it and I typing it up. The OU is organizational unit, and the CN is the common name, or I guess is the common name for it. Okay. The organizational structure that we set up is the domain is on the top, followed by the department embedded into the domain, and then each department will be embedded with the users, computers, and then you can subdivide computers into laptops and desktops. Be more descriptive. In order to add the organizational units or the OUs, the users and or computers, you can either enter them individually into the Active Directory. So just click on the domain, say new, then organizational unit, or the container, and then the same process to add like a user or a printer or computer support. Okay, in order to import a large number of containers, you could use a command line batch utility. Excuse me. And also a batch utility. Adding new users individually is fine if you have just 1 or 2 users to add in, but when you have a large amount of computers or new employees to add in, it becomes very time consuming to go in individually, new user, new computer, so on. Individual accounts can be added in using the DSAdd or the NetUser utility. You can use the DSAdd utility to add a new parent container, or use the LDAP distinguish name. And here's an example of what it would look like for each one. And also you can use the NetUser, and you can actually add a user and the password. Batch utilities you can use are CSVDE and LDIFDE. By using either the CSVDE or the LDIFDE utilities through the command prompt, you can actually import large quantities of new users or computers. Initially, it takes a really long time to set up the CSV or the LDIF file. And but once you have it and you save a template, you can create users and computers with the least amount of administrative effort later on by just simply changing the name or whatever the department name that you need. Also, using the CSVDE file, you can export information from Active Directory to view in Notepad as a CSV file, and also to export into Excel, and that way you can actually manage it a lot easier. Although CSVDE can import and export information to and from Active Directory, it cannot be used to actually delete or change information that is already in Active Directory. It does not support passwords, or the importing or exporting of passwords. The value of 514 is enter it into the user account control LDAP field to disable the account until someone actually physically goes in and puts the password in for that user. And you can't use blank passwords. While using the CSVDE file utility, to enter the users or computers, we found that if the parent container names didn't match exactly, then the information didn't go across. If you had, say, like human resources, if you had a space in Active Directory between the two words, and then when you went to do the CSV file and you put them both together, and it wouldn't read it. Same way if you have N and you put an ampersand. If it doesn't match, it doesn't go across. Okay, the LDIFTE. These can be used to add, delete, or modify objects in Active Directory. However, it does not support exporting of user passwords. You can't export information like you can with the CSVDE file. The LDIF files use a line separated format as opposed to the comma separated format from the CSV file. See, there's a slight difference in it. Okay, now I would like to go over a roaming profile. Since it isn't always possible for employees to use the same workstation every day, we'll be setting up the roaming profiles or RUPs. As long as the server where the roaming profiles are kept is available, then the roaming profiles allow users to access the profile from any location in the network. Using roaming profiles reduces the dependence on the workstation availability. It simplifies user data management. You can control the profile centrally or manage it centrally, and it gets backed up. In the event that the system goes down and reinstalled, then the profile is readily available at a different location. Roaming profiles enable you to configure a standard desktop environment for different groups depending on their location, whether it's sales, order entry, so on. The profile can include desktop items, their documents, settings, and network and printer connections. Essentially, their settings are consistent no matter where they go. They can also be kept out of specific computers by enabling the only allow local users profiles on the computer or on that workstation. Before a roaming profile can be created, a user account needs to be created in Active Directory. Also, the file should be saved onto a file server. To simplify the process, a template should be set up for a user. A user account template already has commonly used login settings and properties configured. Each user has an identical initial profile at logon. The first time a roaming profile user logs onto a computer, the system will identify the roaming profile location, and their default profile is created. If they had previously logged onto that computer, then the roaming profile merges with the local profile. And then when they log off, the local copy of the profile, including any changes that they did, is merged or uploaded to the server. When a user with a RUP logs onto a different system for the first time, the system does not copy a default profile. Instead, it uploads it to the profile. It uploads the profile from the server. When users log on and off from workstations that they have already used, their files are synchronized. In other words, the system only copies the files that have been changed. This makes the logging on and logging off a lot faster. In order to make a template in Active Directory, you would have to pick a user from Active Directory and choose it as a template. And you go to the properties, profile tab, and in the profile path you would enter server name, profiles, and %, username, %.